Hi, this is Eos, and today we're going to talk about delay and how it can make your sounds wider and a couple techniques to use that. Let's start off just with operator patch and saw wave. So you can see that's mono straight down the middle, and we're going to mess around with just delaying one side of the stereo image. So the left side will remain the same with only 1 millisecond right there, and the right side will mess with that. And even the filtering and everything else has a lot to do with it too, and the dry wet. So I'll show you a couple of differences in here, and then we'll start from a fresh delay. You can see how the filtering has a lot to do with that image as well. And if we turn this up to 100%, you can see tonally there's a lot of differences that we can make happen just with the filtering. But for now, let's get rid of this. Let's bring in a fresh one. And let's turn the feedback to 0, dry wet up, filtering off, unlink the channels, turn them both to time, and turn them both down. So this is just the same sound that we already have. And you can physically see as I start to delay the sides, they split apart. So that's pretty nice and wide, and you can't really tell the difference between the left and right. It sounds like one sound, right? Once we get up to around 30 or 40 milliseconds, then that's when we're going to start to notice it to sound like two sounds moving from left to right, as the left sound happens first and the right sound happens second. Okay, so another cool thing that we can do with this, now that I kind of like how wide that is let's take this, hit Control G to put it in a group, and now we're going to run this in parallel with the original sound. So create a chain, we'll name this one dry, we'll name this one wet, or sorry, yeah, we'll name this one delay wide. And now as I turn on the dry, watch what happens. There's our mono sound. And we can control the stereo width now with this volume of the delay. And that's as I'm hitting different notes. That's interesting that, like, this is an E note, there's a C note. So something about this 24 milliseconds is really resonant, and it pulls it back to the middle. Something about the 24 milliseconds, sorry, is almost like tuning it back to the note or something. But so we'll turn this off. And now let's try using the filter to get so that we're not delaying the low end. You can see we're getting like a solid mono signal now below, and we can reinforce this using a utility to really be sure that we're getting this mono bass. And we'll turn this just for this purpose. Usually I do use bass mono up to like 150 or something on basses, on a lot of basses. If that 100 to 150 doesn't need to be stereo, which a lot of the time I don't feel that it needs to, but since sub is just below 90, technically, let's mess with that. And you can see how there's a slight difference in the middle, but mostly there's no change. especially with the mono part of the signal that's right here. So now as we add in, let's add in some FM. I have this running in series, and I just have drawn in some harmonics. So without, mono, with. That one looks really cool. You can also hear that it's wide. It's not about it looking cool, I guess, but the meter is very helpful. You can see as I increase the feedback here, let's solo. So something I could do here is we could bring in an LFO. And we could map the LFO. Let's turn it, make it only go from 0 to 20%, and let's map it to the feedback. Maybe 35%. And that's a little fast. Let's do like 0.5. And I'm going to change it from sine to going up. So it's always going up, and then... Actually, I take that back. Let's go to random, and let's smooth it 100%. So now we've kind of got this little bit of variation. Remember, we're just listening to the wide right now. But you can see it's like shifting and morphing a little bit, and just for ease of remembering what it's controlling, let's put the LFO right before it. So now let's bring back in the dry signal. Okay, so that's kind of the basics of the idea here. You can make a sound just wider, or you can run it in parallel. Now let's take what we've done here, and I already have a sound built here. Let's move it over and have a little fun on that. So let's move all of this stuff over. So and then let's listen with and without. And I already have some variation built into this synthesizer as well. So in my opinion, it sounds a lot better with the wide layer on top. No one cares about the Amazon package. So let's see, some other things that we could do is on this wide layer then, we can actually affect just that one separately. So before I finish here, let's try that. I'm going to bring in a plugin called Rift. It's a multipolar distortion, allows you to distort the positive and negative side of the waveform separately. And let's just go in, let's grab harmonic, and let's solo the wide delay. And let's get pretty extreme with it. Let's add a noise one to this one, toasted. Increase the number of stages. So that's a lot more aggressive now, and let's listen to it with the dry, and then I'll turn on and off Rift. So you can see how prominent those sides are now. Let's bring down the wet dry and control it. So again, just the dry. And then both. This is a great way to add complexity in the stereo image of your sounds. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for listening.